Hello, I'm Brigadier General Deidre Tahan, Commander of Brooke Army Medical Center. Welcome to our third episode of BAMC MED Talk. Each month, we ask experts in their respective fields to address questions from you, our patients, regarding a specific topic. Today, we are fortunate to be filming in the Vogel Resiliency Center, an amazing facility on Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam, Houston, that provides health and wellness resources to the Joint Base San Antonio community. We felt it would be fitting location for this episode, which focuses on resources and tips for avoiding the holiday blues. Many of us look forward to the holiday as a time to gather with family and friends, enjoy the festivities. However, the holidays can also lead to extra stress, financial strain, and unrealistic expectations and memories that can be difficult to manage. These feelings are more common than we think. Today, our distinguished panel of experts will be discussing these feelings, answering your questions, and providing some helpful hints on how to deal with the holiday blue. Today's panel includes Mr. Robert Nathan, Deputy to the Commanding General, Army North; Joe Dempsey, the Director of the Army North Resilience Directorate; Lieutenant Colonel Matt Garrido, BAMC's Chief, Department of Behavioral Health; and Major Jennifer Lee, BAMC's Chief, Department of Nutrition Medicine. I really would like to thank you all for taking time to be here today to address this important topic. Without further ado, let's start with the first question. What are the holiday blues?
The holiday blues are temporary feelings of anxiety and depression during the holiday season that are often associated with extra stress, overextending yourself, or other feelings and emotions that are associated with this season.
How can the holiday stress and depression be prevented?
Many people often choose to stick to routines to help prevent some of the holiday blues, doing things that you enjoy doing. Oftentimes we get overwhelmed and stressed when family members come through, or if you're purchasing items, for gifts. Many times, this will create an undue amount of stress for you, and that's okay. That's the important part. But getting back to establishing things that you enjoy, getting to work out, do some PT, getting out to enjoy a walk with the dog, spending time to enjoy holiday events that are comforting to you, that your family has found in the past that's very warming, enjoyable. Those are the things that we encourage you to do to avoid or prevent some of this holiday stress.
So Mr. Nathan, your vision for this Vogel Resiliency Center has really brought a lot of these resources to help people fight the holiday blues together in one stop. Can you share with the community the importance of the Vogel Resiliency Center and why it's so important for Joint Base San Antonio?
I'd love to. So most people are either trying to handle all the stresses of life, these unrealistic expectations, you just mentioned the stresses of holidays, but during the whole year, they try and handle it all by themselves. Or they jump straight to the clinical, and we had to send them over to BAMC or the clinics. So what we're trying to do is sort of find a middle ground here where we can have non-clinical and train people on non-clinical ways to reduce their stress in all areas of their life, whether it's financial, health, the way they eat, the exercise, yoga, any of the areas to reduce their stress by learning some life skills. We can then do a triage of sorts, and we can have look at every individual coming into Fort Sam, identify those who really do have serious clinical issues, get them to clinics faster. But those who may have some stress in their life in one of those areas, but it's not to the range of clinical, we can work with the clinical people that belong to BAMC, and we have our own training to work with them to sort of give them the life skills to handle a lot of that on their own. And we think by doing that, it actually helps both groups, right? It helps the group who don't need the clinical train themselves, and it helps those who do need the clinical get in quicker to the real professionals in those areas.
Wonderful, thank you. Joe, building on that, if there's people that want to come to the Vogel Resiliency to deal with the holiday blues, what resources do you have to help them?
So we have a culinary kitchen, 5 different stovetops. People can come in. We have a holiday cooking class. We have a family kids class where the kids can come in with their parents and they can learn how to cook. And we're finding that as soon as we offer these classes, a lot of them are filling up. So there is a need and a want out there in the community. And so it helps with the holiday blues because you can come together and you can meet others. And so you get that social aspect that is also very important. And we have a yoga instructor on board. So the yoga instructor, she doesn't do just, I call pretzel yoga. She does yoga mindfulness. She does yoga nidra, which is equal to sleep. She has sound baths, which is a very awesome way to end your yoga session. And she's doing parent and I yoga classes. She's doing couple yoga classes. In fact, she's doing an adventure class for families where they come in, they're going to do yoga, then they're going to move to the kitchen and they're going to do a few activities in there. And so what we're trying to do is give families, give soldiers, give spouses someplace that they can come. They can meet others, they can have that social aspect, and then it can help them with that aspect of the holiday season. Because a lot of times we can't afford, we talk the financial, we can't afford to maybe fly home. So we need to create our family in our home where we are. And so that's what we are. We're giving them that place that they can come visit and they can meet other people.
Awesome. Major Lee. So for most people, the holidays are not just about family, but they're about eating. Any suggestions on what people should do to try to eat a little healthier during the holiday or use food to help with their mood?
Yes, ma'am. There are several ways to enjoy the holidays without compromising your diet. First, I think people should try to stick to their routine, and while doing that, also planning ahead and strategize a little bit. Just like when people go, we recommend that they don't go grocery shopping while hungry. They shouldn't go to parties and gatherings while feeling famished. If they get invited to a dinner, make sure they're still having their breakfast and lunch, making sure that they are making little modifications to eat smaller portions or have more fruits and vegetables, so that way they're not overeating when they go to these gatherings, Bring things that they enjoy, so that way they have a fallback item to make them feel good, the comfort item. So those would be some of the ways to prevent.
Yeah, I always have to eat a little bit before I go to a holiday meal with family, because sometimes it can take an hour or two to eat, and then by then I'm so hungry that I just eat too much. So that is a great sound advice. Now, one of the other pieces that Colonel Garrido, you brought up was the impact of financial stress on the season and how that might lead to holiday blues. I was hoping that you might be able to kind of share that a little bit, and then we'll go back to our Vogel Resiliency team to talk about the financial counselors and things that we can help with.
Well, absolutely. One of the primary stressors that families go through, ma'am, is really finances, managing finances, and we often see that in our clinics. So I'm so glad to hear and see really the wonderful programs that Mr. Nathan and Ms. Joe have been building here in the prevention aspect. So one of the things that we ask them to do is really set a budget. If they can learn ahead of time to set a budget, and then communication with your spouse is important about what the budget is. When you're communicating how much we're going to spend together for this season, it's going to prevent a lot of those stressors that come across when you suddenly find out that I no longer have the funds available. And oftentimes, the bulk of our stressors that come into our clinic are from relationships, ma'am. And so managing the finances together as a team is extremely important. And so that's one of the ways that we can help to prevent some of these financial blues.
So some of the, if I can jump in here, so some of the, not to go too far in my story, but I grew up in an incredibly poor family in a little farm in Northern Ireland. Poor enough we didn't have running water, we didn't have heat. And my parents didn't have a lot. So we could make a list and we could get one present for Christmas. But one present didn't do the fillings. Then my mom, she did a necessity, but it was such a great idea. She says, but you can each pick somebody in the neighborhood who's not doing well, and we will help you either, she called it make, bake, or shake, right? You can make a present, you can bake a present, or you can shake it. You can do something, a chore for the lady down the street who's a widow, and you can mow her lawn. And by doing that, sort of became big in our Christmas. And it became something that we looked forward to for months, was doing this one thing that we gave. And at that time, in hindsight, we all laugh about that was the greatest Christmases ever. But it was that refocus away from how many, what I see so many people do, and some in my family, where we want to buy every gift that the child may want, could possibly ever want, and piles. We all know you do something good for somebody else and you get this incredible charge that lasts all day long. And of course, what we've now discovered is not only you get the charge, but the person who gets it gets this charge. But even more so, everybody else that sees it. So my mom would take us around with 5 kids, and I didn't realize at the time, we get this shot 5 different times of this, and we'd be in a great mood for days. So my daughter now is doing this. She has money, she could do more, although it's a bit of a stress, but she has done the same thing. So I think this, getting back to the expectations and the financial expectations, if you realize where you are and how much you can really spend, how much you want to spend, and maybe sit down with your family ahead of time and start these traditions, we can get away from you feel like you have to spend, hundreds of, if not thousands of dollars on presents, or it won't be a great Christmas, right? But I think, and that's part of what Joe and her team do, but I don't think you can do it haphazardly. You have to think about it. Now's the time, beginning in November, to think about it and say, hey, let's do something different this Christmas. And you may get some resistance at first, but after they do it, and it becomes a tradition, I think it really is a way to reduce that stress financially. Joe, and I'll step out.
I think Mr. Nathan said it, know where you are. And I think that's the key point, is knowing where you are. And that's where it can help coming to visit a financial counselor, financial advisor. We have 2 on our staff. And so you can come in, sit down, talk through your budget, know where you are so that you can have that plan for the holidays. And you cannot try to keep up with the Joneses. You can say, as you have that communication, this is how much we can spend for Christmas. And it may be, that you go, this is what we're going to spend. And then you have that plan for January, February for the follow-up on, okay, maybe if we get a little bit off track, because we all get off track sometimes, that's fine. But this is going to be our plan in January. So start planning ahead. And so I love the story, because that's it. You know where you are, plan ahead, and then maybe it is that you bring out and you go, we don't have a big gathering and I invite everybody in the neighborhood and then I expect to pay for it. Let's do a potluck. Everybody come together, you get the social aspect of it. You don't spend a lot of money, and yet you still get that feel good.
So, holidays can be stressful for a lot of folks, and I'll start with you, Major Lee, and we'll work down the line. What can people do to avoid stress? And specifically from a nutrition lane, how do people avoid stressful eating, right? So those people that eat when they're stressed, what can they do to avoid that? And then just kind of anyone that wants to talk about what they do to avoid stress during the holidays.
Yeah, so one of the ways to avoid stress eating is really planning ahead. Knowing where you are going to be for an activity, and making sure that you have a good choice available to you. Either you bring your own or you offer to bring something to contribute. But also not making it an eating activity. You can suggest, if it's a potluck, maybe suggest for a walk afterwards to do that as part of the stress relief.
Thank you. Margarito, anything?
I do a number of things. And one of the things I like to do is mindful running, or mindful cycling. So when I'm in the moment of a workout, I try to be present, whether that's using my 5 senses, just to keep myself focused and not thinking of the day, things to do ahead. And that is one of the practices that really has helped me kind of keep calm during the exercise. And at the end of it, I'm not so much as planned or my heart's not racing, expecting to go to the next rate. I'm actually feeling relaxed. And the other part is really taking a moment to understand what I can control and what I cannot control. And so going back to expectation management, thank you for sharing that, Mr. Nathan. And it's absolutely that. It's making sure that I remind myself that, there are things that I can't control, and that's okay. But there are things that other people, I'm not in control of. And as long as I remind myself that, whether it's how they react, how they respond, people not showing up, as long as I remind myself that and put it my mindset.
So for me, I've started using technology. I have a mindfulness app. I have, my app that tracks but I also added a new app that taps into my stress. And 2 weeks ago, my NCOIC came in and told me something very stressful, and my watch started going bzzz. So it works. And that just reminds me just to step back and relax, the mindfulness, being in the moment. But then I'm a planner. And I think that's one of those things that the more that we plan, the more that if things are bad, I can plan for those things. And so that helps me reduce my stress. It's just by planning in advance.
I think you hit it a moment ago. We cannot take the responsibility for making everybody else in the world happy, right? And sometimes when we have people over, we have a party, we have guests for the holidays, we feel like we have to create this environment and just plan their day. I'm a planner too, so we want to plan everything out, and most of it very expensive, most of it very stressful on ourselves to make sure that every minute of their day we're making them happy. And I've learned this from other people. Again, my daughter is the best I've seen. She picked it up from mom. She will have people over for the holidays, and she'll set up a table and put a puzzle on it. And she'll put some board games over here, and she'll put some books over there, and she'll put, It's a Wonderful Life on the TV. And make yourself happy. She's not going to, right? And it's funny because you get there, and when people leave her house, they're actually the happiest I've seen people in it because the stress has been relieved. And so I think part of this is just realizing, we're having people over, it's to enjoy their company. And so I was thinking of, okay, we have a lot of people coming these holidays. What can we do where we don't feel responsible for making them happy, but we can set the conditions? So we're gonna bring them down to the quadrangle. They can see deer and peacocks. They can go to see the horses, and we're gonna walk on the Riverwalk. And we've decided we're gonna pay for everybody. And you taught me this nothing and everything in moderation. They're gonna make sandwiches, and we'll buy everybody an ice cream cone, right? We're gonna go to an ice cream shop and everybody buy an ice cream cone. So we're gonna spend $30, right, for a day's worth of activities. But the pressure is on us to make them happy. We'll put them in an environment and keep. So I think just this planning a little bit ahead, but not really feeling like it's our responsibility. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but.
So one of the things that I'd like to ask as our final question is what resources are available in our community that can help people with the holiday blues? And we will start down at the end and end with the Vogel Resiliency Center. So what resources do you guys have in nutrition care?
Yes, in nutritional medicine, we have the dietitians available to assist people with either menu planning or meal planning if needed. And if they need some help after the holidays, they're more than welcome to come see us, self-referral.
Wonderful. From behavioral health lens.
So we have a lot of behavioral health, non-behavioral health, and subclinical behavioral health in the community. We have Army One Source, we have the MFLIX, which also are around the Vogel but elsewhere, who really can meet with you at your personal time as well as after hours, that don't really do documentation. So those are pre and subclinical. But we also have our behavioral health who we're working through. So if anyone needs anything, throughout the holidays, we're still here and open.
And one of the nice things about San Antonio is we have a lot of chaplains on this installation that can help a lot of folks. All right, so within the Vogel, what would you want people to know is here for the holidays?
So we have an MFLAC in the building, of course. The chaplains always need to remember the chaplains. We have our teaching kitchen, and so with the teaching kitchen, we have Chef Mary, who does our holiday cooking, and some of those are how to cook healthy holiday meals. And so we have that. We have the yoga instructor, so Lena is our yoga instructor. We have financial counselors, so you can come in and know where you are. We have the Army Wellness Center, which is of course very important. As you maybe overindulge, you can come in and you can do the bod pod, which will tell you your body composition. You can do the metabolic test, which is going to tell you how many calories you can eat to either gain weight, lose weight, or just maintain your weight. And then we have the Army Public Health nurses who right now are really working on the vaccines. So getting your flu vaccine, that's the other way that you can prepare.
So Mr. Nathan, when you think about all of these resources on San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston and Joint Base San Antonio is a special place. What are your thoughts for our families on here as they enter the holidays?
So I think this is, I know I'm prejudiced, but I think this is the greatest post in the world and one of the greatest cities in the world. And it's really the type of place that you should enjoy the holidays. But we know people do get stressed out. So I guess my one message would be, if you're stressed during the holidays, all these resources, don't think too hard about where to go. Just walk in the front door of the VRC, and they will help you determine, hey, this is really beyond our capability. Let's help you get to BAMC, to the clinics. Or, no, this is within our capability and we can handle it here. Or no, maybe the M-Flex, we get you to the chaplain. So even if you have no idea where to go, if you're just stressed and have no idea how to handle the stress, the whole purpose was you could walk inside the front door of the VRC, and even if we couldn't handle it here, we would hand carry you of sorts. I mean, we wouldn't just tell you to go someplace. We'd help you make the connection and get to where the professionals here believe the other professionals are that can help you in whatever area that you and they think you need some assistance. So that's it. Our door is open. Our door is open all the time, but especially open during the holidays, because we want you to have a great holiday season.
So for the month of November, we have the 30-Day Gratitude Challenge, which is really small things you can do to each day that improves not only your gratefulness, but also the joy and happiness you have with you and those you love. So we hope that you will take time to do these small things that make a big difference. Well, this concludes our question and answer portion today. A special thank you to our distinguished panel members for their knowledge and expertise. I hope this information was valuable and helps you to have a more enjoyable holiday season. Leaders, please make sure you check on your teammates over the holiday season. We want everyone to come back to work after the holidays safe, rested, and recharged. To everyone, have a safe and happy holiday season, and thank you for watching this latest episode of BAMC Med Talk. Stay tuned for next month's episode.